Hello, 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 everybody. How is everybody doing today? Oh, it seems like the year that spring's not coming, right? We seem to be, at least in Southern Ontario, and I think it's the same everywhere. Um, Spring is kind of lurking, but where it is, we're not totally sure. We seem to be getting an awful lot of rain and overcast days. Although it is getting a little bit warmer, it's going to be raining all week and weekend and all into next week. It's all showing rain. Hi, Fred. How are you? Uh, yeah, I hope you're feeling better. I haven't actually talked to you lately. So I wanted to talk about my, yeah, we have freezing rain too, Norma. Well, maybe not as cold as yours. Maybe not as cold as yours, but yeah, we're having some really poopy weather. That's all I can say. And it's Easter this weekend, and we like to have an Easter egg hunt. Um, but anyways, we probably won't be able to. Hi, Nicola. How are you? I'm glad to see you this week. So I wanted to talk today about my can't get this right. About my trip to the Wizard. I've been noticing lately that um, I've been extremely short of breath. Anything that I'm doing, I'm extremely short of breath. And my this shortness of breath has seemed extreme. I'm getting down to about 78, 79, and it's taking me a longer time to recover. Um, sometimes you can get down to 78, 79, and you can recover just like that, right? But this wasn't happening to me, and I was gasping for air and gasping for air. And one morning I got up and I just said, you know what? I'm done with this. I can't do this any longer. It's absolutely ridiculous. And what I found was that I was waiting to go to the bathroom because I knew that as soon as I got up to go to the bathroom, I would come back and I would be so short of breath, getting down to 78, 79, 80, and gasping for air and trying to get it up. Hi, Karen. And so I was waiting longer to go to the bathroom. In all fairness, I am on diuretics, which makes you go to the bathroom a little bit more than a normal person would, right? And that's because I have heart failure. So I have to have the diuretics in order to keep that water from gathering around my heart. So the diuretics make you want to go a lot more frequently, right? And so this just wasn't working for me. Like, what am I going to do here, right? And I did try to cut down on my diuretics a little bit, but you can't do that when you have heart failure. You can't. If you cut down on your diuretics too much, you're not using them like you're supposed to. Um, you start to gather water around your heart, and then your shortness of breath comes from your heart not functioning properly. So you have to be careful about it, right? There's a reason why doctors give you these medications. And even if we don't want to acknowledge what it is or what's going on, we really should be making ourselves a little bit more aware of why we're taking them and what the results would be if we stopped doing it. So I can't stop my diuretics, or I can't get them back too low, because when I do, um, you know, the shortness of breath then doesn't come from oxygen. At least when the shortness of breath is from oxygen, I can control that. I can turn my oxygen up. But if it's from something else like your heart, there's nothing you can do but wait for it to resolve. Like there's absolutely nothing that you can do. So waiting longer to go to the bathroom was not the right thing to do. And I realized that I would be sitting there saying, "Yep, I'm not going to the bathroom. I'm not going to the bathroom," because I knew that it would take me forever to recover. And if this happens to anybody, anybody will know it is the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. Just watching that oximeter and waiting for yourself to recover, right? And it goes down to 79 and then it goes down to 78 and you're gasping for air. And it goes up to 80 and then it goes back down to 79. And it just takes forever to get it back up again. And I, uh, I really felt that there was something wrong. So I know I don't have a cold. I know I don't have an infection in my chest. There's no increase in coughing or anything else. Like nothing else is affected, right? No fever. Um, I feel fine. I'm just tired, but I'm always tired. And limiting my movements is not good. Diuretics mean that I have to go to the bathroom more often, and there's absolutely nothing that I can do about it. And my daughter reminded me that uh, this kind of happens to me in the springtime. And I kind of wanted to kick her in the butt when she said that because it sounded to me like she was saying that it wasn't uh, critical, that she was making light of it. But it is true that this happens to me with the change of weather. Um, Hi, Kathleen. Glad you could join us today. So this happens to me with the change in the seasons, and um, I have a hard time in the fall when we're going into winter. Now, the reason why we would have a hard time this year is because there is so much dampness out there. There's uh, so much rain. I think Fred's the only one that's not getting any rain. The rest of us are being bombarded with it, and of course, because the leaves aren't cleaned up or the yards aren't cleaned up yet, they've got a lot of kind of mold and they're holding on to the dampness and that sort of thing. So it is a real cause for us to have problems breathing, right? So I'm not so sure that that's not what it is. And I've heard a lot of people say that they have problems during the change of seasons. I did an experiment with my doctor years ago when I was first diagnosed and I was doing my journaling, and he said to me, "I would like to see what happens to you in the weather." And that was pretty interesting because, I was journaling and I would be, okay, I'll journal the weather then. And honest to God, we had evidence based information that said, definitely, I am affected by the weather. So I turned my oxygen up by a half a liter. So I am normally at 3.5. And so I turned it up to 4. And then I started to think, oh my goodness, what about I start to retain? What about that's not the right thing to do? What about I shouldn't do that? So I started to get kind of freaked out about it, right? As we always do, we don't know what the hell we're doing and if we're doing it properly, right? So wasn't sure if it was good or not. And so I decided to call my doctor. It was early Monday morning and someone answered. Can you imagine? I called the number for the doctor's office and there's somebody answered. I was so stunned. I was like, I don't know what to say to them, right? Because it's been so long since I've called somebody and they've actually answered the phone. So, so I told her my story, and I tried not to be, tried to be nice with her. And I told her my story, and she said she would talk to the doctor and she would call me back. So I thought, he ain't going to call me back. She called me the next day and she said the doctor would like to see you. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And she gave me uh, an appointment that week. So that was last Monday. And on Friday, not last Monday, but Monday before, and I had an appointment for Friday at noon hour. Can you imagine that? Okay, not same day, but same week. And that is unbelievable because that never happens. Anyways, I think what happened was he doesn't work on Fridays, or he doesn't work in this clinic on Fridays. And so this Friday he opened up his clinic, and he had appointments on Friday. So he had a little bit of extra time. Yay. So I took my scooter and my husband, something I would never, ever have done before. I always think that they're kind of giving you sideways glances when you use your scooter, right? But I didn't care because I'm having so much trouble with shortness of breath. I was not willing to do it. And there is an entrance right by where the Firestone Clinic is. But now with the pandemic, they've closed that. And so you have to go an extra, I don't know, I'm going to say 2 blocks. Okay. So I wasn't willing to do it. So can you imagine that, getting an appointment on Friday? So I went, and, it was a good time and everything, like 12 o'clock. How cool was that? So I told him what was happening, and he said that he doubted that increasing my oxygen by half a liter would make any difference whatsoever. And I was pretty surprised when he said that, because, well, we've always been told not to put our oxygen up. I just can't handle it anymore. I cannot handle being that short of breath. So he said that increasing it by half a liter wouldn't make any difference. He suggested that I turn it up to 5. So I was at 3.5. And he said, if you turn it up to 5, it's going to blast you. But if I'm using my flow meter and my oximeter, I can manage what my oxygen is at. So my flow meter increases and decreases the oxygen that comes through my tube, if you will. It goes down to 2. It goes from 2.5, and now to 5, right? And when I monitor it with my oximeter and my flow valve, I should be having no problem staying at 92. He said, if you're going down to like 85, around 85, you probably wouldn't have any problem. You just bounce back. But when you start to go lower than that, we have a bit of a problem. And this is where it bothers your heart and your brain, because you know what? You can't think of anything. Like You have no memory, anything like that, right? So what we have to make sure is that the oxygen is at the right amount. So it should be between 88 and 92. But more important, what is your heart rate at? Because the bottom number is your heart rate, your PR number is your heart rate, your blood pressure. And it's important because when your oxygen goes down, your heart rate naturally increases. And you can watch that reverse as you start to get the proper oxygen in. So I can have my heart rate can go up to 120 and I can barely breathe. It just cuts off my throat. Like it cuts off my throat. It's just awful. He said, if your oxygen is going down lower than 85, you have a problem. And if your oxygen is higher than 93, you have a problem. So those are the two cutoffs. At least that's what my doctor told me. Now, I know a lot of people like to use oxygen and keep it up so high that they can go up to 97 or 98. But because we have emphysema, that is not a good thing to happen. The reason why is because all that air is pumping too much air into your lungs. And then your heart has to work twice as fast, twice as hard to get rid of it. So 88 to 92, those are the numbers. That's what everybody was told. And artificially making it go higher than 92 is a detriment to your lungs. Like it's not good for you, and it makes your heart work faster. So I'm monitoring it, and guess what? It's working. Who knew, right? Now, because I'm having issues with with the back of my neck, I don't know why, and I'm kind of suspecting that it might be my chair here. I spend an awful lot of time in my chair here. Anyways, the issue of this pain in my neck, I have to, I don't know, maybe go see somebody who's a rheumatologist. My doctor thinks it might be arthritis. So I don't know. We'll see. It hurts like hell though. And what I've found is I don't always have the strength to pull on my powdered inhalers. Now, I never heard anybody else say this to me, but I'm wondering if it's true. I really have a hard time pulling on the powdered inhalers. So I was using Symbicort with the HandiHaler and Spiriva with the HandiHaler and Symbicort, which was the powdered. So I asked him to change me to Respimat. And the reason why I wanted to change is because with the Respimat, you can use the aero chamber and you can just put that on your face, puff, just breathe normally. You don't have to like pull on it like you do with the powder dosage, right? And these Respimat kind, I don't know what they're called, meter dosage. I don't know exactly what they're called. Anyways, you get what I'm saying, I hope. Anyways, I don't always have the strength to draw on the powdered, so we switched to Respimat. Now, I feel like without saying anything, he said, your lung function is declining. And I felt that he he indicated he knew what was going on, that it wasn't a big deal, blah, 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 blah. But I think that for me, I know that it's declining. I know that my lung decline is visible, and I can feel it. And it's not a good feeling, right? Because nobody wants to live like this, being constantly short of breath and whatever. Overall, I am a very lucky person to have gotten in to see my doctor, and I go to the Firestone Clinic in Hamilton, which is it's a world-renowned COPD clinic for COPD and lung health, right? So I'm very, very lucky. I'm very lucky that I got to see him. He was very gracious with me, and my husband came with me. So that's it for today. Hi, Linda from North Carolina. How are you? What's your weather like down there, anyways? Fred's in Texas. He says it's very hot. So, all right. Have a great weekend. For those of you who celebrate, happy Easter. For those of you that don't celebrate, enjoy your Friday off, because that'll be nice. And we'll see you next Tuesday on Tea Time. This is Barbara Moore for Catch Your Breath 60.